Yeah. Yeah. Can you believe they told me that I would never make it? Now we smiling in their faces, smiling in their faces.
Because Kobe's the 8th greatest player ever, and he was never the best player in the world.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
That 48 special by LeBron in 2007. LeBron was the best player in the world from that moment until 2018.
Needed one tape.
Who's the best player in the NBA?
Kobe Bryant.
Better than you?
I would have to say right now.
2012, Nick Wright himself tweeted out the best players he has ever seen in his life. Michael Jordan was 1, Kobe Bryant was 2, LeBron James was 7.
Message.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Tyler Rose TV. As you can see, we have a special guest today, Jay Skapanak from Skap Attack on YouTube. If you guys haven't seen his videos, check him out. One of my favorite guys on YouTube, knows his stuff. A big Kobe fan, as I know a lot of my subscribers are, so definitely check him out. I'll link his channel down below here as well. But Jay, thanks for joining the channel. We got a lot of interesting topics to go over today. How you feeling today? How's it going?
My pleasure, Tyler. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it. Always love talking NBA, and in particular, any topics that might overlap with the late, great Kobe Bryant. As you guys can see behind me, I'm a huge fan. He's my favorite, not just my favorite basketball player, but my favorite athlete ever across all different sports. So I got to get on here with you, Tyler, and we got to talk about this idiocy that's going on around his name.
Of course. And we'll start there, ladies and gentlemen. I'll run a clip for you guys, and then me and Jay will get into it. If you guys are new to the channel, hit that subscribe and hit the bell, and let's do it.
This will be something I'm telling Paul right now. Use your judgment on. This will get aggregated, clipped, and it will do numbers. People get so mad at this take, but the problem with this take is I know it is correct. And it's why but it is so, it makes people so mad that I don't really lean into it, because I don't really have the, what's the word? I just sometimes get tired of arguing about it. But greatest players ever. Let me just, Bron, Kareem, Michael, Russell, Magic, Wilt, Duncan, Kobe. So I guess the answer is number 8. Because Kobe's the 8th greatest player ever, and he was never the best player in the world. I know people get mad at that take, but here's the problem, and the reason Kobe was never the best player in the world. Because once Kobe got great, call it 99, he wasn't great yet, but I'll give him 90. Once you started seeing flashes, from 99 until 2002, Shaquille O'Neal was the best player in the world. And then from 2003 until 2007, Tim Duncan was the best player in the world. You know how I know Tim Duncan was the best player in the world at that time? Because he won 3 championships in 5 years. He won 2 MVPs. He was the best player. He was the best player until that 48 special by LeBron in 2007. LeBron was the best player in the world from that moment until 2018. So it was Shaq, it was Duncan, it was then Bron. At no point was Kobe the best player in the world. 8th greatest player ever, never the best player in the world. People get very mad at me. Show me the year. Show me the season. Show me when he was. And people will be like, what about 2006? It's like, well, I don't know. Best player in the world, losing round 1. What about 2007? I don't know. Best player in the world, blow a 3-1 lead in round 1. What about 2005? I don't know. Best player in the world, missed the playoffs? Probably not. So the answer is Kobe. Next.
You know, Jay, I'll kick it to you first. I have some thoughts on this, but ultimately, you're my guest, and I'm a guy of respect and manners. So I want to share the floor with you and kind of just chime in on your thoughts on him saying Kobe was never the best basketball player ever in the NBA at one point in time.
Yeah, well, ridiculous, obviously, outrageous. And honestly, Nick Wright himself doesn't even believe this take. The reason he can't think of the word to use of why he doesn't want to get into it with people, the reason why he just waffles around it is because he knows he can't defend it himself and he doesn't believe it. I know he doesn't believe it, Tyler, because there is a famous tweet percolating around. The internet is made of stone. It is etched in stone. You can delete it. You can try to move away from it, but someone will have screen grabbed it. And in 2012, Nick Wright himself tweeted out the best players he has ever seen in his life. Michael Jordan was 1, Kobe Bryant was 2, LeBron James was 7. So, and then Shaq was below Kobe at that point. Duncan was below Kobe at that point. So what exactly happened between 2012 and now that all of a sudden Kobe is below Shaq, below Duncan, what exactly happened? Well, probably Nick Wright is a paid agent for Clutch Sports and LeBron James, and now he has to toe this company line, which is to discredit Kobe Bryant. And there is an argument, though, Tyler. I will accept that there is an argument. To me, Kobe and Shaq were the best 2 players in the world from like 01 to roughly like 03. I think you could have, honestly, quite frankly, you could have gone with either player, Shaq or Kobe. Duncan is in the mix. Those are the 3 best players in the NBA at that point in time. Then right around 03, in my estimation, Kobe Bryant does ascend and become the best player on planet Earth till around 2010. Because look, in part of his explanation, Nick Wright goes on to say, oh, well, do you know how I know Tim Duncan was the best player from 03 to 07? Because he won 2 league MVPs and 3 championships in that span. Okay, well, let's apply his same logic from 08 through 10 then. Kobe won an MVP and went to 3 consecutive NBA finals and won back-to-back championships with a fringe one-time All-Star at that point in Pau Gasol. Kobe became the only player in NBA history to score 600 points in 3 straight postseasons. No one's ever done it. Not Jordan, not LeBron, nobody. Over that time, Kobe became the only player in league history still to this day to win back-to-back titles with no other top 75 players. So you're telling me that a guy in that 3-year span wasn't the best player in the NBA? Stop it. Just stop the nonsense, Nick. And the Lakers were the number 1 seed in the Western Conference those 3 years in a row, by far the more difficult conference than where LeBron was lurking in the East. And Kobe was the one in a conference where the 8 seeds were like at 50 wins over that span of time. So overall, Tyler, and I'll throw it back to you, Kobe Bryant in a decade span led the NBA in scoring, points scored, and averaged. That was in a time where Shaquille O'Neal and Allen Iverson were prime. That was in a time, in talking an average, that you would include Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Kevin Durant. Kobe Bryant led in average and total scored over that span.
Yep.
A time where he was all-NBA first-team defense, like seven years out of 10, and second-team defense in 2 of the other years. So 9 of the 10 years of that decade, all NBA defense, and he was going to 7 finals rounds and winning 5, and you're going to tell me not even 1 year you wouldn't be able to slither Kobe in as the best player on earth? It's absolute nonsense. Nick Wright knows it is, and that's why he doesn't want to spend too much time on it and gets in and out of that take very quick.
I agree, Scap. And another thing that I want to mention, and I'm sure you've seen it, but the funniest part, one of them was the fact that he skipped over 2008 to 2010. He just conveniently stopped at 2007. But one thing that has surfaced, at least for me, and I've seen this interview, it's a 60-minute interview with LeBron, right, Scap? And LeBron says, who's the best player in the NBA? He says, right now, I'd say Kobe Bryant.
He just one take.
Who's the best player in the NBA?
Kobe Bryant.
Better than you.
I would have to say right now. He's a really, really good player. individually, he has some of the best skills that the NBA has ever seen in history.
So Nick Wright wants to, push a narrative down your throat, but LeBron himself wouldn't even admit that he was the best player in basketball. He wasn't the best player in the NBA. And then, of course, you get into the postseason record. Obviously Duncan's great. We're never going to, dismiss that Duncan wasn't a great power forward, but Kobe has a winning record against him in the games that matter the most. I believe it's 18-12. Like I said, more points in the decade and more championships in that decade for the 2000s. It's just interesting how, we know why people's opinions change so much, but it's sad because we look, and not us, but many people who are, casual viewers maybe listen to a guy like Nick Wright and they think, well, Nick Wright is on TV and Nick Wright has all these, sports, Fox Sports and all these, great companies he works for. And you think that you can trust, their word, like Shannon Sharp as well. And I think that's the most disappointing thing is that people actually believe what these guys are spewing out of their mouth. And for me, another one of the most underrated things about the fact that Kobe was existing in the same decade as Tim Duncan was that 2007 championship when he swept LeBron pathetically. Kobe beat him in a 4-1 gentleman sweep, and I looked into that series. He shot 11 free throws for the whole entire series. So he was able to stop them from ever repeating ever. Kobe was, when he had a squad that was viable to win games, his team was pretty much always competing for championships. And later on in Tim Duncan's career, when you go look at his last two championships, 2007 and 2014, he's not really even the main focal point. Tony Parker wins the 07 Finals MVP, and then Kawhi wins the 2014 MVP. And at that point, Duncan's a shell of himself, and we're not even looking at him as he used to be. He kind of became a role player. It's not fair that two of Tim Duncan's rings where he doesn't get Finals MVP, he's no slack. But if Kobe doesn't get Finals MVP, he gets carried. But Duncan doesn't get carried by Parker or Kawhi Leonard, who was one of the best two-way players. Arguably, I think Kawhi Leonard, if he was healthy, I think we can make a case for him being a just as good or not way better of a player legacy-wise than a Kevin Durant or even maybe might be pushing it maybe in close to a Curry. If he doesn't get hurt and he maybe wins a few more championships, who knows? But let's move on to the next topic, ladies and gentlemen. Many people have been speculating on one LeBron James and his use of illegal banned substances that are, not legal in the NBA. One guy in particular who's not afraid to speak his mind about that is Mase from It Is What It Is, to show, if you guys don't know, with rapper Mase and Cameron. And this is what Mase had to say, ladies and gentlemen. Take a listen to this clip, and me and Scap will get into it after.
To that level, I can't deem that as great, especially when other people just did their own writing or did their own rapping. That's a total different level of greatness to me. And I know we're living in a world that it seems like things come out later and it makes sense, but to me, that's where I'm speaking from. I'm speaking from the aspect of the people who put in the work, that didn't play the political games, that didn't do things behind the scene to make things what they are on the scene. That's where I'm speaking from, and I know that's a coded statement, but it's a lot of truth behind that. It's coming out now that, that these guys got home runs, but they was on this, or this person was doing this. That's why he's there. That's not the same greatness. So when you hear me speaking, that's where I'm speaking from. I'm not speaking from just like hating on somebody or trying to belittle somebody's legacy. If we think we're measuring it on basketball alone, but it's not on basketball alone, then I can't weigh that the same.
All right, a lot to unpack there. Like I said, Scap, I'll kick it over to you. Before I kick it over to you, I do want to say I feel like he's hinting towards the political ties. As we know, Kobe and Jordan were never been, big on politics. I think LeBron did endorse some like democratic political figures. And, Michael Jordan was always famous saying Republicans buy shoes too. I think he's also hinting at the Clutch Sports affiliation, with the people in the media members. And then, of course, you brought up the elephant in the room, which is, baseball players. You find out later they're hitting these home runs, but, there was something motivating those home runs that are, I guess you could say banned substances. Kind of leave it to you, but I also want to ask you, do you think in the future we'll ever see LeBron come out with a scandal or maybe some type of news regarding his potential use?
Tyler, I don't think so, because I think the NBA is implicit in it and is in some way, shape, or form either turning a total blind eye to it or helping to conceal or cover up any kind of actual things that can confirm definitively that he has been using. In lieu of that, it's just going to be a bunch of smoke. And there is a lot of smoke, Tyler. There's a lot. It's undeniable. You dig into the biogenesis scandal that, look, his personal trainer at the time was implicated in that.
Yes.
His longtime confidant and one of the very elite inner circle members of his crew, Randy Ernest Mims, was also implicated in that biogenesis scandal. So LBJ or LJ was on a ledger that was involved in the personal trainer and Ernest Mims in terms of the redacted files that was involved in that biogenesis leak. So just look, and then look, when he leaves mysteriously, the 2-week leave of absence after he went back to Cleveland and he looked like he was washed, he went to Miami for 2 weeks in the middle of, I think it was December or January, comes back and is completely rejuvenated and refreshed. The Cavs go to the finals that year. Then after that, there's a lot of smoke around the usage. Not just, look at what an elite high level this guy is still playing at 41 years of age. But the single most damning bit of evidence, in my estimation, that LeBron has been using is the fact that LeBron never responds to any of the allegations that he's using. And I'm not talking about people like me and you. I'm talking about people, Kevin Garnett, that Chael Sonnen, the former MMA fighter who went on ESPN and basically leveled those allegations. Mase now with this stuff. There are huge names with huge followings and platforms that have definitively come out and said, yo, this guy's using. In fact, I know exactly what he's using. I know who his drug supplier is. And LeBron has never come out, ever, and denied any of it. He has never demanded any kind of a retraction. He has never taken legal action, never mentioned it at all, despite all of the smoke and the allegations swirling around him, never once. Tyler, if most of his legacy is built on the longevity piece. So basically people are just calling him a cheater and ripping down his legacy. Wouldn't you come out with a strongly worded defense of yourself at some point over a 10-year span of people throwing these allegations at you? But nothing. Total silence from LeBron James. And that silence to me speaks volumes.
Yeah, I agree. I think of all the things that people are using to elevate this man's legacy right now at this point, it's his longevity. And believe it or not, many people aren't questioning that, and they think, well, LeBron just takes care of his body. But he went on Pat McAfee and dispelled the rumors of him spending $1.5 million a year on his body. So we can eliminate that from now, how he takes care of his body. Another thing I want to say is that there's been other players just as athletic as LeBron James, right? We got guys like Vince Carter, and they played later in their careers and things of that nature. And we can't just put it and say you're taking care of your body, because if you are and you're the guru for that, why haven't many other players maybe went to LeBron and said, hey, listen, I want to play later in my career. What's your secrets? I'm training with LeBron. I'm seeing what he's doing, his rehab, his development, or whatever the case may be. We're not seeing that, but we've seen that plenty of times with the guy on the back of your wall. We've seen people go to him to get training, to learn, to get the blueprint, the work ethic. We don't see people going towards LeBron because I think we ultimately know that what he's really doing, you can't get away with unless you're LeBron James and you have those ties, and the NBA will hide and will protect you. I think ultimately, in my opinion, Scap, I know it sounds like a conspiracy, but I think the NBA has some type of agreement with LeBron that we want you to play for a long time because, we think that we need you until we can figure out who we can pivot to next. Maybe it's Wemby, maybe it's Ant-Man. And we're going to let you juice. We're going to let you do your thing. But when it's time to go, it's time to go. And we'll let you know when it's time to go. I know it might sound crazy, but that's just my estimation as to why I think they're allowing it. I think they're using, both parties are able to, get what they want out of it. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily just completely reject that premise. It would kind of make sense to me, but my suggestion or my pushback, I guess, would be this. Wemby has arrived. Like, whether he is the best player or not at this point, I think he's top 3.
Yeah.
And you can really argue him in any 1, 2, or 3 slot. To me, it's him, Jokic, and SGA, obviously, I think right now. And now with what he's doing in this postseason, I think they're going to go on and look. We're recording this before we know, but I think they're going to at least push Oklahoma City. If in another couple weeks we're talking about the Spurs maybe winning the NBA championship, the time will be now for Victor Wembanyama. So, like, if that were the case, then it would be time for LeBron to go away now. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's back next year. I don't know where he's back, but I think he will be back next year.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Alrighty. Moving on. Speaking of the man LeBron James, as we know, just came off of a sweep from the Oklahoma City Thunder. Ultimately, to me, it was a juggernaut team. I was not expecting, LeBron to in the Lakers to win that series, but I definitely didn't think they were going to get swept. I guess I did think they were going to get swept, but ultimately I thought maybe they could pull at least one out. Looking back, a lot of people are discussing now LeBron's legacy. I kind of did a short clip about this, and I put it on my Instagram and kind of just breaking down my thoughts on it. So I'll give you my thoughts on it. Then we can kind of get into your thoughts on the LeBron's tenure as a Laker. Is it a failure? In my estimation, Scap, I think he underachieved. As a Laker, I think we look into year 1, he gets hurt. We can give him, I guess, a pass there. And then he's not able to get his team to the playoffs. Okay, whatever. You finally get AD. They trade all their pieces. The franchise seems like they did everything in their power to make sure LeBron James had what he needed to win a ball game. They get the bubble ring. The bubble ring, to me, I don't hold it against him, but I will hold it against him only to the point where I say, if this man was so great to go to 8 straight finals, those 8 straight finals are celebrated even when you don't win. But just because you went there, we're celebrating it. Well, why can't you do this on the West? We realize, well, it's because the East was the weaker conference. But if you're celebrated for just going there and not even winning, wouldn't it be a failure in the eyes of the LeBarbies if this man can't even go to 2 consecutive finals in while he's on the West? Wow, he gets AD. Wow, that works out. And then they say, hey, let's trade for Russell Westbrook, who just averaged a triple-double with the Washington Wizards. And many people say he's washed. He was only 32 years old. He still had a lot in the tank. LeBron gets another piece after that doesn't work out in the name of Luka Doncic. They trade AD. So this guy gets Luka, he gets AD, and he gets Russell Westbrook. And then not to mention he gets Dwight Howard, he gets Carmelo, he gets Rondo, Trevor Ariza, that kind of old, kind of looking like the Rockets team from the 90s with Charles and Hakeem. I think the Lakers do whatever they can in LeBron's tenure to make sure he has enough pieces around him to compete. And what does he do? He gets swept twice. He gets multiple first-round exits, misses the playoffs twice. And ultimately, in my expectation, given that you won a championship, even though I don't think it was the hardest championship, and I don't always respect it, and even Alex Caruso and Anthony Davis will question it, as they mentioned, went on record to question it. I think ultimately he underachieved, given the pieces, given the fact that the Lakers did whatever they can. They brought in JJ Redick, they drafted his bum son, they did everything for this guy, and to me, one bubble ring and never making it back to the finals. To me, I looked at it as underachieving. What are your thoughts on LeBron's Laker career?
Yeah, undeniable failure, Tyler. I mean, you can't look at it any other way. Again, this is another. We heard from Nick Wright on the Kobe piece, but he's also been out talking about how it's an undeniable success, LeBron's Laker tenure. But that is an undeniable lie, because we're talking about the alleged greatest player of all time, aren't we? Like, the guy himself says he's the GOAT. All of his boot-licking, jock-sniffing sycophants think that he's the GOAT. Okay, so the GOAT player in the GOAT franchise, like the Lakers, to me, it's between the Lakers and the Celtics. I know you're a big Celtic guy. Look, Celtics have been to more finals. The Lakers have won the same amount and in far fewer appearances than the Celtics. But in the last 25 years, obviously, the Lakers have been the standard. So one of the 2 most storied franchises ever he goes there and he wins in 8 years 7 playoff series total. 7 playoff series won in 8 years, and 4 of the 7 were in that bubble tournament. And look, whether you want to count it or think that it's a virtuous title or whatever, Anthony Davis was 100% healthy for that playoffs because they had a 5-month hiatus because of the COVID shutdown. So would that have happened? Would they have even been able to have that run if Anthony Davis doesn't go in completely fresh? Because Davis led the playoffs in scoring and win share in that bubble run. But if you remove the bubble, Tyler, the Lakers, LeBron's win-loss record in the postseason, 16-26 with the Lakers. If you remove the bubble, that one bubble outlier year. And look, yes, AD was hurt a lot of the time, but he was completely healthy. In the 2 years they met the Denver Nuggets, swept in the West Finals, and the Lakers were favored to go to the NBA championship that year, halfway through the postseason. And they get swept by the Nuggets. And AD averaged like 27 and 14 in that series. Then the very next year, again, in the first round, AD again, completely healthy, averages 27 and 14 on like 64% shooting, and they get gentlemen swept by the Nuggets in the first round. So you've got AD putting up prime Shaq numbers, basically, and playing way better defense than prime Shaq, may I add, for the alleged GOAT LeBron James in Kobe's franchise, the GOAT franchise, all to get what? To get 4-0'd and 4-1'd by Nikola Jokic in the Denver Nuggets. That seems like a pretty startling underachievement to me then when you look back in the total context of it all. 1 championship, 1 finals appearance in 8 years. And even with, I'll throw it back to you, even with including the bubble, 32-31 overall playoff win-loss record in 8 years as an LA Laker for LeBron James. That doesn't sound like GOAT things to me. And if we are saying that LeBron is in the GOAT conversation, a massive underachievement and failure.
Listen, I totally agree. Not much to add to that. Like I said, I touched base on it a little bit. And I mean, ultimately, we're always going to hear, the media bigging up LeBron. So we're never going to hear the truth. But when you break down, when you have people like you and me who were able to look past the surface, we're always going to be able to tell who exactly, what exactly occurred and what has not been manifested as a lie. I don't know if you've seen Jay Will. He kind of mentioned, he talked about on ESPN how once Kobe passed, LeBron carried the torch by winning the bubble ring in a time where America was so sad and confused and they didn't know what was going on. I'm like, they're really painting this narrative to make this seem like that bubble ring was like a triumphant, exhibit of courage and like going to Disney in a hotel. And I just can't stand to see these people make it seem like winning a bubble ring was a major accomplishment.
Tyler, let me just do this. Like, LeBron is supposed to be, again, like an undisputed top 2 player. Even people that have Jordan at 1, like pretty adamantly, will still accept or suggest that LeBron is 2. Look, this guy's been at an elite physical level from the time he entered the NBA till now at 41 years of age, 23 years. Since his age 26 season, he has been jumping around the NBA, amassing teams that are perfectly positioned to help him get to and maximize his winning window. So from 26 to 41. He has 4 championships in the overall 23 years of his career. And they're all kind of, look, in Miami, fine, whatever. A team way too big to fail. 2 top 3 players in the NBA joining. Kobe, I thought, was the best player at the time. Then LeBron and Wade were the second and third best players in the world at that time. Those 2 join and get a top 15 player in Chris Bosh in a weak-ass conference. Too big to fail. So congratulations. You got 2 in 4 years. So, but then look at the other 19 years after that pairing in Miami. 2 rings, and they're 2 kind of flukish rings when you think about it. The bubble ring in LA, which we've talked about, where it's, again, like 5-month hiatus, totally like pristine setting for them. No travel. They were an older team. AD was injury prone. He comes in totally fresh. They don't have to travel anywhere at all. Like really a hand-designed kind of scenario for LeBron to succeed in that one outlier year. And then other than that, the 2016 ring with the Cavs that everyone talks about is like one of the best rings ever. But they had, again, another easy run out of the East. And then the Warriors were up 3-1. That was going to be gentleman's sweep city if Draymond Green doesn't get suspended for Game 5. And then there's a bunch of other injuries that take place for Golden State. Steph Curry is not right during that series physically. Kyrie Irving goes absolutely ballistic in games 5 and 7. Like that. And they still barely win that game 7 on a Kyrie Irving game-winning shot. So like really two flukish outlier championships in 19 years. Otherwise for Miami, those are the 4 rings we're looking at. Like 2 just behemoth super team rings with Miami and then the 2 outlier ones. Otherwise, for the greatest player that has ever existed or the second best player ever with stacked rosters for like 16 years, like I'm not buying it. Like give our guy Kobe Bryant LeBron supporting casts against the competition that he faced. I really believe in the same exact years and competition with the same teams, Kobe would have had like 7 or 8 rings, and LeBron had 4. So just an overall underachievement for him, I think, from really an entire career standpoint, not just the Lakers, his time with the Lakers.
Yeah, and it's funny. That's what kind of mentioned with the comment I sent you with Jamie Foxx when he commented on it. I said, you give 26-year-old Kobe Bryant, because I know LeBron was 26 when he went to the Heat. You give him the second best shooting guard in the league, or in case he plays shooting guard. So let's even move it, the second best small forward in the league, and then you give him a power forward. I mentioned Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett would be overkill. He's way better than Bosh, but just in general, you give him a top 15 guy in Bosh. You give him a top 5 guy in Dwayne Wade at 26. How many championships does Kobe win? I mean, we can't
win all 4 of them.
Yeah, and then I get into the fact that the part of LeBron's issue with his own legacy is that he's never overcame anything because he ran. Like the part of Kobe being so great is that after Shaq, all that like pressure, all the Colorado incident, the fact that his team was trash for a couple seasons, he blew the 3-1 lead, they accused him of quitting, everything. Then he wins back-to-back championships, and he says that 5th one was the best one. Like, let's think about how much he felt his spirit as a champion. I went through that big 3 Boston Celtics team, which is a juggernaut team, and to me, that to me is one of the best teams of the 2000s. That was a really, really good team. They had a lot of better, to me, on paper and a team as well. I think they had a lot of better players than the Lakers, and they still came up big with that Game 7 win. And those are the things that we measure greatness by, right? We measure it by those things. And if you are always ready to leave that back door and say, oh, when Kyrie's looking good, they got the number 1 pick, let's get Kevin Love. Okay, I'm out here. I'm not winning. Let's go to LA or let's go to Miami. You're always running, and you're never really having that. That's why I think that 2016 ring is always mentioned, is because that was like his only moment he has where he came back from a 3-1. That was like a story. Even though there's more to it, that's the only one that people try to bring up when mentioning him. But I think, like I said in the beginning, my whole rant here, there is a section of players in the NBA who overcame adversity, and that's why we love them, and that's why we continue to have them higher on lists, because of what they endured through their career and how they didn't run or they didn't go anywhere, and they became champions again. And I think ultimately that's what makes guys like Jordan and Kobe so great. And that's why when we look back at their careers, we can celebrate them because we know they didn't take any shortcuts. Scap.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Hang on. Let me just add to that real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because to me, it's more even so just from sports. It's formulaically like the hero's journey. Like to me, like I'm a big comic book nerd, and I like, comic books and superhero films and all that. The reason I never aligned really with Superman because he's just unbeatable. He's too easy like to root for, right? Like he has no really elite villain. To me, like the hero can only be as great as the villain that is opposing them. Like the obstacles that they face. Like that is what the hero's quest, the hero's journey, like that is what makes these people, these players, these figures great ultimately. Only the challenges that they have to overcome. If you're consistently sidestepping the challenges and running in the opposite direction and consistently taking the easy way out, then you can never really reach your maximum. You can never become the greatest that you can become. And that's why, to me, LeBron James has not only cheated the sport of basketball, he cheated himself. I truly do believe that LeBron had the ability, the potential to become the GOAT, or at least in a viable GOAT conversation. But he cheated himself out of reaching that potential by taking the easy way out all the time. So Kobe didn't do that. Kobe stayed. He fought. He came through the other side, and that's why, again, we, like to your point, we think he's so great. Same with Jordan. He played the Celtics twice, or the Larry Bird Celtics. He played the Pistons 3 times, the Detroit Bad Boy Pistons 3 times in the playoffs. He struggled, he fought, and he didn't run. He stayed, he got better, stronger, and he overcame, and he's greater because of it. LeBron James, just a coward, and he's a loser for it.
Yeah, and I'll add one more thing to that thought. I think, and I've said this before, I think if LeBron, knowing how long LeBron's played basketball up into year 23, if he stays with the Cleveland Cavaliers and never leaves, I think he eventually gets 1 or 2. I don't think he gets 4 or 5 or 6 or anything near Kobe or Jordan's level, because I don't think he has that in him. And I think, who knows the optics cap. Like if let's say just Dwayne Wade goes, no Chris Bosh, and he win 2-3 rings. We still can respect that, right? But the problem is the way he went about it. The Dan Gilbert accusing him of quitting in 2010, blowing 2-1 leads, being favored against Orlando in 2009, being favored against Boston in 2010. Like, you came up short so many times, and you already proved who you are, and no matter what you do, you're never going to change the optics of how we viewed you and what we saw. And I think at this point, a lot of the fans and critics, or not even the fans, maybe just LeBron fans, they try to kind of hide the 2007 championship, the 2010 meltdown, the 2011 meltdown. Like, even 2015, he was up 2-1 against that Warriors team. And then once Iguodala checked into the game, he had a terrible game. I think it was a game 4 or game 5. And I just think that LeBron did it to himself more so than people hated him. I think he made himself that villain. He made himself, public enemy number 1. So ultimately, like I said, I think if LeBron stays with Cleveland, I think we look at him a little different. I think if he even wins 2 rings, if he even wins, 1, like Jokic or like Dirk or like Giannis, we can still respect him because he puts up great numbers. But to chase and to do it is the way you do it. You can accomplish many things in life by taking different routes, but the route you choose will ultimately always decide how the people view you. So that's my last thought I want to add on that one.
Absolutely. Great point, and I agree with you completely. If he just gets 1 or 2 in Cleveland and stays there the whole time, we look at him completely differently. And like you said, how you stack the decks, that is somewhat then going to be indicative of what the expectations are for you, right? Like, if LeBron just had like 1 All-Star or 1 like every other year All-Star with him for most of the time in Cleveland, and he gets 2 rings, that looks a lot better than 4 rings with super teams for like 15 years.
6 finals losses too.
If you are that great and you stack the decks to that level, you better win every time. You better maximize on that. Like Magic Johnson, he had basically like the greatest team ever assembled, essentially, in my estimation on paper. He was in a putrid Western Conference in the 80s, but he went to 9 championship rounds in 12 years and won 5 of them. So in 12 seasons, he won half the time. Like, that's what I would expect from LeBron James, winning like every other year for his entire prime run, which is, if we're talking 24 years, this guy should have 8 or 9 rings, and he has 4.
Yeah. There's really no excuse when you make your own team, when you go whenever things go bad, you go here because the grass is greener, and you still kind of come up short. That's the ultimate, another flaw on the legacy of LeBron. I have one more clip. I don't know if you have the time, Scap, if you want to get into
absolutely.
It's Jaylen Brown in the Giannis trade. I got a little clip of Stephen A. speaking about it.
About here with the greatness of Giannis Antetokounmpo. But there's not the only reason that I think that you do this. I think you do this because other than Cater, who do you have if you're the Boston Celtics in terms of your front line? You gonna bring us Luke Garza? You gonna bring us somebody like that? What are you gonna do? Okay, you need more than that, right? Secondly, the reliance on the three-point shot, the living and the dying with the three-point shot, if you're Joey Mazzulla, that has to change. You know, there really does. You don't have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson as your backcourt. You know, you can't just live and die with the three like that, which is what the Boston Celtics did. I think that's problematic. Number 3, though, is Jaylen Brown and what we've been talking about over the last week. When you are 2 years removed from being a champion and being an NBA Finals MVP, and 2 years later, when you're playing without Jason Tatum for about 62 games, and you go to the postseason, and you get bounced out in the first round, it's the Boston Celtics, the most storied franchise in the history of basketball with 18 championships. Never have they lost a 3-1 lead until just now. And it was with Jason Tatum on the bench in Game 7. And Jaylen Brown was the bus driver. And you lost, and you go on the air inside of 24 hours and calls this your favorite season. I don't know how you come back from that.
All right, Jay, you know me, Boston Celtic fan, you know, and hearing this was interesting. I'll kind of give you my take on this. I look at a lot of uncertainty with Boston's health moving forward. Tatum, you know, kind of rushed back from that Achilles injury. And then, as you can see, some type of knee soreness or calf soreness that he had down you know, towards Game 6 and 7 of that Philly series. If I'm Boston, I'm not trading Brown for Giannis. Giannis, as great as he is, I think his best years are behind him. Giannis, to me, is almost like a Shaq or a LeBron. You know, their greatness is from their physical ability and not more so skill and finesse. I don't know how much longer Giannis has playing with going downhill and getting to the basket. And if he does, as we can see, his playoffs, I think he missed 8 playoff games total in his career, and then he missed like the whole first round of that Indiana series when Indiana went to the finals. This season they don't make the playoffs, and they rest him. The season before he was hurt against Miami when Miami made that run to go play your boy Jokic there. And in my estimation, I'm not gonna give up a guy in Jaylen Brown who can actually stay healthy, who can actually play and be a healthy piece. If Boston even decides to continue this 3-point parade of shooting threes all game, and they want to, you know, go in a different direction, then maybe you can view that as, you know, a viable option. But ultimately, if you're going to continue to shoot threes, please tell me how it would make sense to keep Mazzulla, trade Brown, who's a good shooter, a good defender, he's healthy, he can stay there, and then pair up Giannis with an unhealthy Jason Tatum, who are uncertain of how healthy he will be. I hope he's going to be healthy, but sometimes my head be scratching sometimes when I think about his health. So these are just my thoughts, and I think also I want to add is that I think this is an ESPN narrative. I mean, I know Jaylen Brown went out and spoke about Giannis flopping in the NBA. I didn't like him talking because you blew a 3-1 lead. Shut up and go somewhere. You know, like I said, Mamba mentality. I don't want you online talking trash or, you know, talking about excuses. Just go play ball. You lose, take your L as a man. Go somewhere, recoup. You know, come back for next year. Get off stream. You know, I don't like the NBA players streaming and all the time, at least in my estimation. So I think ESPN already has a thing with with Jaylen, where they don't really care for him too much anyways. He rubbed people the wrong way. Him and Stephen A had some back and forth. I just think this is a way to create a little propaganda to push, oh, he's not happy. He didn't say anything about not being happy. All it said was, oh, Joel Embiid's flopping. He didn't say, I don't want to be a Celtic. I don't like it here. He said it's his favorite season. Maybe there was other reasons why. I wasn't the biggest fan of that statement. Ultimately, like I said, ESPN narrative. I wouldn't trade Brown for Giannis. I'm uncertain about Tatum's health. What are your thoughts on this, Scap?
Yeah, I love Jaylen Brown, first of all. He's one of my favorite current players. Not a good, week stretch for him when he put the back brace on to go on his stream. He was complaining, kind of saying his back was hurting him. And then also, yes, complained about Embiid being a flopper. And complaining about the officials as well, and saying that he's been targeted and singled out. So I don't like that week stretch that he had. Bad week, but ultimately I understand he's in his emotions at that point. It's best if you just get away, like you said. Just shut everything off. Don't look at anything. Don't go on social media. Just escape. Just go to some remote island for like 3 weeks and just train by yourself there and just get right and come back. So heat of the moment, I think he said some stupid shit that he's going to regret likely moving forward. But I certainly would not trade. Brown would be the last person I trade, quite frankly. If Boston feels like they want to trade something, obviously Derek White is probably their best chip if you want to keep Tatum and Brown together. That Derek White can command the most return. And then if it was between Tatum or Brown, I would honestly trade Tatum. He's coming off the rupture. I know he's a much higher rated historical player. He had 4 first-team All-NBA selections, obviously. But look, in the playoffs, Tatum is not very good in the postseason. Like even the series they won against Dallas, he averaged like 22 points per game on 38% shooting. And in every other series that they've struggled in or lost, he is choking in those series. Like Brown was the Eastern Conference Finals MVP in addition to the Finals MVP the year they won the championship. And this year, in a very large sample size without Tatum, Brown looked like he's first team All-NBA and like a top 3 to 4 MVP candidate. Like I would probably want, and he's more durable, healthier long-term, I think. I would try to retain him over Tatum. And I do believe, by the way, that they need to make some kind of a big move. I think they should fire Missoula. They won't. Yeah. And then I think they should shop something, probably White, and then see what you can get and kind of switch that lineup a bit, because to me, they've underachieved in the era now of the Brown Tatum. It's time to go in kind of a different direction, I think, because those two guys together are the best duo in the NBA to me. Finally, on the Giannis piece, I'm with you. I think Giannis, if healthy, is a top 2 player in the NBA right now. The question is, what is the health? Like LeBron, you mentioned LeBron, very similar player to LeBron, but LeBron's never shown these signs of slippage or cracking physically, even still at 41. Giannis, I think he's only 31, but he's missed big time every year now. Like he hasn't been in the playoffs in years, it seems like. So I would be very concerned with trading one of my principal pieces away to bring him in if I were Boston. Look, Boston, you know better than me what kind of trade assets and stuff they have. If they can maybe swing some like 5 or 6 first round pick package for Giannis and keep Tatum and Brown, I think it's worth it then at that point. Yeah. But to trade one of the primary 2 pieces, either Brown or Tatum away, to bring him in, and then if he plays 50 games and then isn't right in the playoffs, I mean, you're screwed basically.
Yeah, it's too much of what ifs and fingers crossing for me. Ultimately, too, I think the Boston's direction, they need to get a big man. I know, it's funny. I just looked this up. Zubac from the Clippers that went to the Pacers. He would be a great big man for the Celtics. He actually can, bang with down low with Embiid and those bigs. I think we need a point guard as well. I think White will be a good trade asset as well if we need to. But yeah, I'm not touching the Jays, especially for an injury-prone player like Giannis. It's just not worth. It's not worth your franchise pieces going for a guy who has maybe 3 to 4 seasons left of running and going through your body and playing downhill. I just don't think that style of play is going to last that long on the body. You have to develop some type of jump shot. You have to have a post game. You have to do something different. So I agree with you. I don't think it's worth it.
I think another big look there. Ivica Zubac ain't going anywhere because the draft pick blunder.
They screwed up. Well. They screwed up.
Yeah, it basically Zubac cost them 2 really high first round picks, basically. So they're gonna re-up him there. But look, Isaiah Hartenstein has 1 year left on his contract now.
Yeah.
And he's making like 29 million. They have a bunch of big contracts on the books now. They did the super extension for Shea. They threw a ton at Jalen Williams, his max extension level, Chet's max extension level. Those guys alone are making like $165 million a year now moving forward for like 4 years. So, and like they've got up and coming players they're going to want to re-up as well that are on expiring rookie deals. To me, Isaiah Hartenstein is going to be the odd man out that they're not going to be able to keep. So like whether he's available on the block this upcoming year in that final season expiring contract, or if he just walks in free agency totally in next summer, I think he's a guy that many would fit great on many number of teams, but like the Celtics might be the best home for him, honestly. He's a great defensive piece. I think he's significantly underutilized offensively because of the context of the team that he's on right now. So that, to me, if you want to just do a bridge year, another bridge year, if you will, and wait till he becomes available, he would fit perfectly, I think, with your Boston Celtics.
Just want to say thanks to Jay Scapp for checking in and coming on the show with Tyler Rose TV. If you guys are still watching, check out his channel. Great content. He's on Whitlock as well. Some great content from this man. I appreciate you joining, Jay. If you guys new to the channel, hit that subscribe and hope you enjoyed this video.